Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Max Bogue, co-founder at 3Doodler. Thank you for joining us, Max.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
And we're about to talk about your latest product, your brand new product. But first, give listeners a little background for those who may not be too aware of 3Doodler and what you do.
So the 3Doodlers are a series of pens that create three-dimensional objects. Essentially, they're like 3D printers without the computer involved. You are the XYZ robotic arm that creates the object. So you can quite literally draw physical objects, either in the air, or you can draw flat objects and then join them together to create three-dimensional objects, just like a 3D printer. Our latest product is the 3D Build and Play by 3Doodler, which is a hand-cranked version. It doesn't have a motor or anything like that. And it's been engineered and designed specifically for a 4+ audience. So it's much more orientated towards that younger group of kids that are interested in story play.
Really cool stuff. Now tell us about the challenges you faced in designing a product for kids that young. I mean, you've had products for children before, but not for quite that young. And obviously addressing parental concerns about safety, etc.
So initially on the younger side of things, we launched the 3Doodler Start, which is essentially like our 3Doodler Create Plus, except that it's orientated at a 6+ audience. When we did that product, one of the main focuses was reducing the temperature of the material. So we actually sourced a new material we call 3Doodler Start Eco-Plastic. It is a home compostable material that is consumable. Not that you should, but you can. It's made from food grade material. And that material comes out of the devices at around 35 degrees Celsius or 114 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's like a warm bath or a hot tub. So that was the first foray into that. With the Build and Play, we did quite a lot of testing with children. And we discovered that having a free form factor, the ability to just, draw or fill in the lines with the younger kids was actually did not work at all. So what we did is we created these molds that have holes in them, and it's almost like an injection molding system that the kids can then use to fill in the mold and then put pieces together. So we simplified the process, and we restricted kind of what kids could do. At the same time, we discovered that especially younger kids like doing physical things. They like seeing direct results. They love pushing buttons, but they don't necessarily understand the connection of pushing a button and the reaction of the device involved with it. So we moved to a hand crank device so that they could have more control in a sense. And we developed it in a way that allowed us to also switch the handle so that it's good for lefties and righties. But essentially, we did quite a lot of testing with different designs of how to get kids to extrude the material with over 100 children. And then we ended up on the Build and Play's design, which is, as I said, a hand crank device that you then stick the nozzle into these holes and then fill in the material in the holes, and then it fills in a mold, almost like an injection molding system. And then you can place and put the pieces together. We also include a story backdrop with the device and a storybook. And the idea is that children can interact and create these characters and then put them in the backdrops. One side is the city, the other side is the jungle. And we have, jungle-based characters, lions and parrots, giraffes, things of that nature, elephants. And they can make and continue the story that is included in the storybook that comes with the device.
And again, these materials are safe for kids who, while you don't encourage it, might pop it in the mouth or whatever?
I always assume that there is a smaller child in the house and that they're going to put anything and everything that they can in their mouths. And so the material is actually sourced in the United States, and it's extremely safe material. There are medical grade versions of it, and it's used for implantation in the body, this type of material. We use a food grade version, obviously, because we don't need to use a medical grade version. But it is completely safe to consume. It's safe to draw directly on your finger, for example. It's not going to cause a burning issue or anything like that. So yeah, it's very, very safe.
You've described it pretty well, but tell us more about what kids are going to get out of this. What's the value?
So there's a bunch of different aspects that kids can get out of this. One is creative play or storytime play, which at the age range of 4 to 6 is kind of this developmental milestone where kids start telling and interacting and creating their own stories. And so by allowing them to create the characters and then continue their story, they're able to explore that space more effectively and produce things that parents can actually recognize. I think one of the problems that any parent has, I know I've had, is a child does a drawing and you can't tell what it is, and they're trying to explain to you what it is. And by restricting them to these molds, that allows them to create characters that are more recognizable. It also helps with development in hand-eye coordination, the cranking aspect of it, aids in that ability, and the overall kind of early learning to read programs. The fact that a lot of different universities and libraries and stuff like that have been focusing on how kids learn through storytelling, which helps to encourage them to learn how to read so that they can read and explore more stories. We actually had several teachers and several librarians help us to write the story that comes with the build and play. And as a result, we're very satisfied with the fact that it helps to encourage children in that early learning how to read programs.
And these, as you said, are designed. This is designed to work with molds that the kids kind of squirt the material into, and
yeah.
So are you planning to have additional molds for different things that might come along to work with this?
Yes, as time goes on, we'll increase the mold availability, and you'd only need to buy like a mold, and we might add it with a pack of consumables of the material as an add-on, so to speak.
Terrific. So tell us about pricing and availability. That's part of the story here, the pricing.
Yeah, right. So pricing, we think it's very reasonable at $29.99. It'll be available in limited retail in Target. It'll be on Amazon, on our website as well as some other retailers. Barnes & Nobles are picking it up, and some more to come.
When can we look for it?
So right now we're doing a pre-order campaign actually on our website, and those should be shipping in June, as in you will receive it physically in June, and then it'll be in stores around August. And
the website for folks to go to is the3doodler.com. It's the numeral 3, Doodler, DOODLER.com. Max Bogue, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Now this. How many companies out there have continued to innovate when it comes to building a better radio? I'm Fred Fishkin, host of Techstination, and I'm here to tell you about the new CC Skywave SSB radio from the wonderful people at C. Crane. Bob and his crew really love radio, and it shows in this new compact model that is packed with features. Beyond great AM and FM reception and sound, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world. Listen to ham radio operators, aviation, and more. It's the radio you'll turn to every day and in emergencies. It will run for nearly 3 days on just 2 AA batteries. Pair the sleep timer with the new Soft Speaker 3, and you've got the perfect radio for your nightstand. Of course, it can wake you up too. Click on C. Crane at Techstination.com and put in the code Techstination for a free flashlight with your order. They love radio, and you'll love C. Crane.